What's up, guys? Welcome to the Nick Beasley Show. I have a very special guest today. And, guys, this isn't just a special guest. This is a guy who works his butt off 24/7 and is an absolute champion of being a content creator. On YouTube, he has 170,000 subscribers. On Twitch, he has 28,000 followers. On his Twitter alone, he has 19.6 thousand. On his Instagram, he has 20,000. All across those four big platforms, he has 273,000 followers and subscribers. On YouTube, he's been on there since May of 2010, over 14 years as a content creator. If there was a Hall of Fame for content creators, he would be a first ballot Hall of Famer, and he would get the greatest induction of all time. Please welcome to the Nick Beasley Show, CONMAN167.
Yo, wow, that was quite the intro. Holy, talk about the glaze, eh, bud?
You know, man, you might still be a Cody crybaby, but I've got respect for you. I had to put it in there.
I appreciate that. And yes, of course, I'm a Cody crybaby through and through. Like, you got Codester in the background. I got to
I
rep
was
my
about,
boy here. But
I
Nick,
was
thank you
about to
so very
say,
much for taking the time to have me on this show. I really appreciate it, dude. You've been crushing it, and I'm glad that we can finally make this happen.
dude, thank you, because without you, I probably wouldn't have switched over to being a wrestling content creator. So you and Mr. Tesh and Santi and all of y'all have really helped me. Just watching y'all, it's really helped me grow as a person and as a content creator. So I deeply appreciate it, man.
Oh, of course, Nick, of course. And you know what I said, like there's a lot of content creators out there these days, but like not everybody's willing to start and truly commit to it. And you've been committing to it. So I'm super proud to see what you've been building. And like the sky is your limit, man. Like I'm excited to see what your future is.
Well, one day, hopefully, I can touch the numbers that you've touched. It might take me 14 years. It might take me the rest of my life, but hopefully one day I can touch what you've touched.
It's just a matter of time, dude. You're well on your way.
Now let's talk about, because I mentioned you're a Cody crybaby. I'm not gonna make fun of you. You're a
You sure?
guest. I'm not gonna make fun of you, buddy. But he's back. You know, my tribal chief, the one, is back. I need to know. He did help Cody. It might not have been to really help Cody, but he helped Cody. Can we get an acknowledgement for the tribal chief Roman Reigns
You
from
know,
Khan?
it's slowly, I can feel my arm feeling like it wants to do it, but there's a lot of weight on this arm and it's very, very heavy these days. So I don't think I'm going to be able to get that finger all the
Oh,
way up in the sky right now for Roman. I imagine if Roman is able to show that he's a changed man, if he's able to prove to me that this is the only tribal chief and he has learned from his mistakes, then maybe we could see that finger go up. But no, not right now, not this second. Dude, you're not getting me to acknowledge Roman Reigns on your podcast. Are you kidding me? I'm going to make a TikTok out of that if that happens.
I tried. I got to try because you're a big Sami Zayn fan. We see Sammy in the background as well. Sammy and Jay have kind of been teasing getting back together. We haven't seen Jimmy yet. Do you think we get the OG bloodline with Sammy or without Sammy?
Look, at this point, it would be great. It would be fantastic. I would be so down to see Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, and Roman taking on the new bloodline. Even if that was the War Games matchup, that would be incredible. After what we saw on Monday Night Raw, though, where Sami Zayn is apparently taking a little mini leave of absence and Jey Uso is going after the IC title, this is either like they're kicking the can down the road and they're going to touch on it later, or something's happened and they're not going in that direction anymore. Personally, I'd love to see it just because of the nostalgia factor of seeing Sami Zayn with the bloodline. All of us loved that time frame. It's what I think got a lot of people back into pro wrestling to begin with, that whole run of Sami Zayn in the bloodline and then going up against Roman in Elimination Chamber. Just great run from Sami, great run from Roman. So yeah, everybody would want to see them back together. And if it led to a War Games match, Nick, I imagine you would love to see that as well.
Dude, I mean, look, are you feeling Usi?
Ooh, see, man. If that's coming back, I'm so here for it.
that needs to be the first promo back. If they actually bring those guys back together, they've got to do the Usi promo all over again.
They
With
have to.
maybe Jay saying something disrespectful to Roman because of all the things that have happened in the past, and Sammy being like, he's not feeling very Usi, you know.
Yeah.
Rhea's got a hold of him. We don't know what's going on.
I love that. I
Speaking,
love that.
yeah,
Let's put that right on the show right now. He's not feeling very oozy. Yeah, that'll bring everything back. I love that, dude.
dude, it would be awesome. And I got to ask you because it was after WrestleMania, the Monday Night Raw. Rock showed up. He said that he was going to come back for Cody eventually.
Hmm.
Do you think we get Cody Rock at Mania next year instead of what most fans want? And I'll say it myself. I want Cody and Randy, or I
Yeah,
want Cody and KO, somebody different outside of the bloodline to face Cody at Mania. I love Roman. I love the bloodline. You know this. I am always going to acknowledge my tribal chief. However, I got to be honest, dude. 2 years of them main eventing Mania, it's time to let somebody else do it. And I think with Cena being back in the fold in 2025, with Randy being back full time, let us have that Randy Cody match. There's so much history you can go down with those two, from legacy days to their dads working together. It writes itself.
it does.
What is your
Yeah.
opinion on that?
I mean, yeah, that's the big feud for Cody is Cody Randy right now, and that's the one that's going to, in my eyes, probably get everybody focused back on Cody Rhodes. For a while, it feels like he's been playing second fiddle to the Bloodline story and the impending return of Roman Reigns. Um, it's like when he had his stuff going on with AJ, he never felt like his title was in jeopardy. I think maybe that's what it is. And because Cody Rhodes never had that adversity that he had to go through as champion, not a lot of people were buying into his championship run. Bringing Randy Orton into the play here with Cody Rhodes will help him big time because Randy will get everybody to hate him again. He will turn on Cody. He'll go after maybe Brandy. Maybe he kicks his dog. Who knows? But Randy Orton is going to make people hate him once again. And so when he gets to Cody Rhodes, it's going to be magic. Whether or not that happens at WrestleMania is the question, though, that you're asking. And with the possibility of Rock coming back, Rock has two matches. It's Cody Rhodes or Roman Reigns. It's one of those two. It's not going to be anything else. You're not seeing Rock face Solo Sikoa. You're not seeing Rock face Bronson Reed. You know, it's going to be Rock versus Roman or Rock versus Cody. And part of me believes they're going to go for Rock versus Roman at WrestleMania because that's the one that they wanted to do this past year. At least that's what the story tells us, right? They wanted to do that match. So with that being pushed off probably to WrestleMania 41, then you maybe look at like Rock Cody at SummerSlam next year. I think that could be the highlight match. Instead of it happening this past year, I think it's next year at SummerSlam. And then you can get still Cody versus Randy at WrestleMania. Let's say Cody does beat Randy Orton. Well, then where's the step up from Randy Orton, right? Like if you're going to build to another big feud, it's got to be a bigger name. And that's The Rock, right? At that point. So to me, I see us going Rock Roman at WrestleMania 41 and then Cody Rock happening at SummerSlam in 2025.
So you do see Cody keeping the title past Mania?
Whether or not he actually keeps the title, that's a whole other question. Like
Okay.
that's a whole other question.
The reason I ask is because I don't, as much as Rock Cody would make money for the company, I don't see Rock wanting to do it if it's not for the title. Because,
Interesting.
because they didn't want to take the title off Roman to do the Rock Roman match. So why would Rock be okay with taking the title off? Them taking the title off Cody early to do it. Now, just between me and you, I don't think that Rock Cody needs the title. Just like I don't think Rock and Roman needed the title. I think the Ula Fala in the Bloodline is right now the biggest prize in the company.
Yep.
I might be a little biased, but I think it is. I think Roman being back makes that important again. I think Solo having it, and I know we tease him a little bit, but Tonga Loa is doing a great job of playing a character that doesn't know what he's doing, but just, like when he held up the tag titles, and we'll get to that because I know how you feel about DIY. Um, when he held up the tag titles, he held it up wrong, he didn't, and he botched the Cody spot at SummerSlam. He botched the Roman spot in the ring the other day. Like, he could kind of become the R-Truth of the Bloodline. Like, like
I love that. Oh my god.
genuinely, what R-Truth was for Judgment Day, what Sammy was for the OG Bloodline, Tongaloa could become for the new Bloodline, because you're not going to make Jacob the comedy character.
Mhm.
You're building Jacob to be the guy that could beat Roman. I think that's where they're going with Jacob. Jacob's going to be the guy that can beat Roman. Tama Tonga is essentially the Jey Uso of the new Bloodline. He's the guy that's running the errands for Solo,
Mhm.
and then they're trying to say that Solo is the new tribal chief. I don't believe that. I'll never believe that. But because I can't look at Solo right now and say, "Yep, you've earned the right to be called tribal chief," because he hasn't.
Mhm.
Roman was handed the Ulafala by Alpha and Sika, RIP to both of them. Solo was handed it to him out of a bag
Yeah.
and tried to make Paul Heyman acknowledge him. And I'll be honest, Paul Heyman, there, I I haven't always liked Paul Heyman. However, when Paul Heyman told Solo, "You are not my tribal chief, brother," when I tell you I stood up and acknowledged that man, I acknowledged that man.
Yeah. A
Paul
lot of
Heyman
people
doing
certainly
that was
did. Paul
hilarious.
Heyman won over a lot of people with that line.
Okay, if he had said that Solo was his tribal chief, Roman would have come back and speared Paul. He wouldn't have touched Solo.
Yep. Oh, it would have been game over for Paul. I want to go back and touch on that Ulafala comment that you made, though, with it being the most important thing going on in WWE, or at least in the bloodline world. I think
Right,
that's spot on, man. You're talking about the tribal chief, the significance of the Ulafala being the head of the table of their family. It absolutely is the most significant item going on in WWE. And I just recorded a hot takes video before this, and somebody said during that hot takes is that this is the most important artifact since Undertaker's urn. And I can't disagree with how over the Ulafala has been, with everybody fixated on it and it building the entire story of the bloodline with Roman's return. It is legitimately one of the most important artifacts WWE has ever introduced into a story. And it's so simple because it's not a feud built over a championship. It's not a feud built over betrayal. It's a feud built over who is the head of the table. Like, truly, who is the top guy in their family? And that's something that everybody can kind of sink their teeth into, because family fights. People,
right,
there can only be one in the family. And if you have a bunch of alpha dogs there at the top trying to fight for that same spot, it's going to get ugly. There's going to be sides that are formed. People are going to acknowledge their own tribal chief. It's a story based in reality. And I think that that's the best part of the whole Ulafala addition to WWE.
eh, you mentioned, like I said, I think it's the most important title, and again, I might be biased. And the urn thing, I don't know if we can say. I think it is a significantly important artifact in WWE, but I think because of the connection to the bloodline, because that's a real thing. Like, their family,
Oh, yeah.
the Samoan family, their warriors wear that. Like, Umaga wore one, Alpha and Sika, they wore them. Peter Maivia, like, they're
You have to earn
chiefs
it
in
in
the
their
family.
family. Yeah,
Right,
it has to be presented to you in that family. So it's a sign of respect from your family.
right. And, Tama Tonga and Tongaloa, yes, they are part of the family, as Roman and Rock have said, because they're the part of the family, but they're not Samoan Polynesian. They're a different version of the Islanders. They're part of the family, but they're Tongans. They're not part of the Anawa'i Fatu
Mhm.
bloodline. So by Solo being handed it, by having Tongaloa handed to him, that
He hasn't
diminishes a bit
earned
of
it.
the respect for Solo. Now, if Roman, because I remember going into Mania when Roman said that Solo's the heir to the tribal chief. I remember that. I remember him saying in the Hall of Fame speech about Paul Heyman, "When you don't see the tribal chief anymore, you won't see the wise man." I remember all that. It broke my heart on Sunday night when he lost, but I remember it. If Roman had handed him the Ulafala, and if it comes up that maybe Rock did it, I'll say, okay, an elder, somebody that's been there, handed you that. Okay, you've earned a little bit more respect. But until that happens, I can't say that Solo's earned it, and Roman was again gifted it by his father and his uncle, who were the elders, who are
Mhm.
the were the head of their family, and Roman, in his tweets about them over the last couple months, because obviously Alpha and Sika passed away, and I didn't know how deep WWE is going to go with this. I don't want I don't want them to bring up Alpha and Sika unless Roman, the Usos, and Solo are okay with it.
Fair.
If their family is okay with saying, like, if their family's okay with like Jay or Jimmy saying, yeah, but we watched Uncle Alpha and Uncle Sika hand Roman that, you just took it from some, like, I'm okay with that. And I think the way they go with families in WWE, it is very likely they mention it. I just don't know if they do it unless Roman okays it or Jimmy or like somebody in the bloodline has to be. Yeah, we'll say the line. Yeah, we'll bring them into this because I was really glad they got that last moment with Roman. I just don't know if we want to bring their names back into it. You want to bring Rikishi in? Okay. But I'd feel the same way if it was like Zilla with Umaga. Like, I don't know if you ever mentioned Zilla and Umaga together on WWE TV, even though we know he's Umaga's son. We know he's got the Umaga tattoo on his chest. I don't know if they can say that because of just how personal these fights can get with family. And I mean, like you said, families fight, but at the end of the day, they all respect the elders in the family. I don't know if they go that far with it. Do you think they go that far with it?
I want to dial back before I answer that part of the question. You mentioned something about the idea of if Rock was to hand over the Ulafala, like had been the guy to hand over the Ulafala to Solo Sikoa. I think that's got to be the story, man. How else would Solo have gotten an Ulafala? Because it has to be an elder of the Samoan dynasty to hand it over to them. So I imagine this is slowly, like we mentioned earlier, that we think potentially it's going to be Rock versus Roman at WrestleMania. That's probably part of the build. You're probably going to get that along the way. It's going to be revealed at some point that Rock gave Solo Sikoa the Ulafala and has been kind of controlling that side of the bloodline from behind the scenes. That's got to come out, in my opinion, and then that's how we get to Rock versus Roman. To answer your question, though, do I see them going that deep with it? Yeah, I see WWE, like they wouldn't have pulled up the family tree if they don't plan on referencing literally everybody in that family tree at some point, right? I know that this is after the fact and after they have passed away, RIP to the legends, but I totally see them including their names in the future. There's zero reason not to be perfectly honest, when you have that many of their family members together. And as long as everybody's okay with it, like you said, then there is zero reason why they couldn't do it. So yeah, I see it going that deep. I see them touching on Afa. I see them touching on Sika. I see if Zilla Fatu comes in mentioning that he is the son of Umaga, because why wouldn't you? Or at least if it's not outright mentioning that he's the son of Umaga, there's the tongue-in-cheek kind of, hey, if you're paying attention, you will know this is the son of Umaga, but maybe we're not going to outright say it. For example, when just on Monday Night Raw right there, Braun Breaker mentioned that he's a genetic freak. That's him outright saying he is a Steiner, but
Right.
only the people who watch wrestling truly understand that he is the Steiner. And they're trying to get the name Breaker over, but he's a Steiner through and through, right? So I can see that kind of happening here with the Bloodline story as well. It's just, yeah, it's going to run deep. I don't see them dropping, I don't see them leaving out anybody from this story. It's too deep. There's too much going on in it. Why would you leave any details out?
Right. And they kind of, to piggyback off your point a little bit, when they showed the family tree, they did have Cody reference. Now, true, it was after Roman made the line about Dusty, but they did have Cody reference Roman's father, Roman's grandfather, and the High Chief.
Yep.
And, that was obviously Sika was still around, but Roman's grandfather's passed, I believe. I could be wrong. And the High Chief has obviously passed away. So they don't mind doing that. But again, I think if the family's okay with it, then I'm okay with it as a fan.
Oh
But if
yeah,
it
and I
comes
mean
out,
it's sorry to interrupt. That's just how it has to be for us fans. That's everything. if the individuals in the story are okay with it, who are us fans to say that that shouldn't happen? And that's something
Right.
that does happen a little too often in the wrestling fandom, where we are almost offended off of a wrestling storyline that clearly has been okayed.
Yeah.
People aren't going into this not knowing what's happening. This is pro wrestling. Nothing that happens on our screen is not intended except for maybe an occasional botch. Everything storyline wise is meant to happen on our screen. And so, yeah, like if we get offended over them mentioning Sika or Afa, then we're just being too sensitive as wrestling fans, because they clearly would have addressed it with their family first, right? They would have got the okay.
And I mean, at this point in their careers, I would say Roman, the Usos, Rock, Cody, they all are at a level where if they don't want to say something, they're not going to say it.
Yeah.
Like Roman has said that. Roman said, like, when he first came in 2012 or 2013, when you're new at your job, you just do your job. But now at the level he's at, if something's highlighted and he doesn't want to say it, he just tells the boss, yeah, I'm not saying that. It doesn't feel right. Or, hey, that's too personal. And like, I was a little worried about how they would do Friday night because it was the day or either the day of or the day after
Mhm.
Alpha passed. I thought that was, you could tell the emotion on Roman's face. You could tell the emotion in Solo's face. But, they're doing what their uncles would have wanted them to do, what their family wants them to do, which is, hey, go out there, make money, and entertain people because that's what we would be doing. Like, Jay, I don't know if you saw it, but it was posted on social media. Jay talking about after his dark match with Damien, he talked about Alpha, and he said that all of his family members that you saw perform tonight, they needed that night, they needed to perform because of what was going on in their family, and I completely agree. I think if they had went to Triple H or they had went to Nick Khan and said, "Hey, we don't feel like this is right. I don't know if we want to do this," they would have absolutely okayed it and been okay doing something different.
Yeah.
But they're performers at the end of the day, and they want to be able to. That's their therapy. Like when people pass, sometimes you go to therapy or you go to like just get help. Wrestling for the Samoans, that is therapy for them. Being in a crowd, being around people, that is what they love to do. And I got to be honest, man, Roman may not need the Usos or Sami Zayn. I mean, he's handling business right
He
now
is kind of crushing
without
it,
them.
although he was left wide-eyed from Jacob Fatu on Friday night, eh?
I
Dude was
didn't think they were going to
down.
let them touch that early, bro. Because like they had said, because the injury happened at SummerSlam, and it was planned, but there was something that went wrong. I didn't think they were going to let him touch.
Yeah.
I genuinely thought they were keeping Jacob away until Survivor Series, like not off TV, but like away. You don't touch Roman, and it would work out now that Roman's not going to be back. I think until like early October. But he might be back sooner, but now you don't have to touch because you can be on TV. Roman's off, but no, they just went ahead and
They
just
went
let
straight
Jacob.
for it. They went
Yeah,
straight for it, and like, yeah, I'm just as surprised as you that they actually had them interact. I thought the idea behind him having the boot on his leg was to keep him away from TV for a while. I guess not. I guess not, man.
well, I'm going to mention him again, Mr. Tesh. Uh, his reaction to Jacob and Roman touching, I thought was one of the best reactions I saw. Because after the show, I usually go on TikTok or Instagram and I go through all of y'all's reactions. I watch all of them to everything because there's some things I miss.
Mhm.
And he was like, I don't know what to do because you've got Roman, who is the tribal chief, and then you've got Jacob, who he has a relationship with because of Zilla. That's a tough thing to deal with
It's
as a
tough.
fan. Like I'm sitting there like, I know Jacob, I love Jacob. What do I do? Like,
Yeah.
because I've uh tagged Zilla in a bunch of stuff and like about Jacob and about him, and you know, I messaged him when he won the title the other day, told him congrats. Like, I don't know them personally like Tesh does, but I feel like because they interact with fans, you have that. personal connection with them, and they just to have Jacob and Roman touch. I
It's
was like,
crazy.
no, 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 no. When as soon as I heard the crowd pop, I'm like, Jacob, no, Jacob, down. I'm like,
Bad
Cody,
Jacob.
like Cody, get out here. I was asking, I was begging for Cody to come save Roman.
You're
And I'm
now a
like,
Cody crybaby. All right, all right.
no, no, no. Absolutely. Listen, I am still Team Bloodline. It is, listen, for now, because Roman hasn't touched Cody yet, and we haven't entered that realm of a third match, which I'm interested to get your ideas on. I mean, I can at least respect Cody now because
Good.
as long as Roman is okay and not feuding with Cody, then I can be a fan of Cody again. I like Cody. I didn't like Cody when he was going after Roman because I'm Team Roman 100%. But as long as
Fickle, fickle, fickle.
look, man, I like certain guys. I don't like right now. I love Damian Priest, but I'm Team Dom and Liv. You
Okay.
know, I'm Team Finn Balor. Like I tend to kind of like Jake TV. I tend to cheer for the heels
I
more
was
than
gonna
I
say
do.
you've got this affiliation with the heels going on, and now that Roman ain't all on that heel side, you're kind of confused. You're like, I don't know what to root for anymore.
No, I still root for Roman. I don't care if it's a heel. I
Sure,
rooted for
sure, sure,
Roman.
sure. You were
No,
making
no, no,
some
no.
some light acknowledgement of Jacob Fatu right there for a second. I don't know. I don't
Listen,
know.
I cheer for Roman because I cheered for Roman in 2016 when nobody cheered for Roman.
That's fair. That's very fair.
I've been Team Roman since the Shield days. I don't know if you saw my reply to your tweet when you made that tweet about Santee breaking up the Shield. I don't know if you saw my reply. I replied, "Good, I can finally stop blaming Seth Rollins. I've blamed him since 2014 for that,
Well, you could
and I
you
haven't
could you
haven't."
could still probably blame Seth Rollins for that.
Thanks, man. I thought you were giving me an out so I could blame
You
somebody
know
else.
what? If you want the out, go ahead and take it. If you want the out, go ahead and take it. That heel Santi Zap right there, he's just gonna start ruining everybody through the history of pro wrestling. Like I see him just smacking fools with chairs left, right, and center.
Speaking of Santee, I got to get your opinion. That chair shot was not good. It wasn't that good, was it?
It was safe. It was safe. It
It
was
was the
safe.
safest option for a guy that's probably never swung a chair
Yeah,
in his
that's
life.
exactly it. I when it comes to those type of shows, when it's getting it's not on national TV, you can't hold it to the same type of regard as you do, say, WWE, AEW, TNA, right? If you are in a local indie show, you got to have just that, like, oh, I know what I'm watching, right? I know that this is not going to be the crispest or it's going to be that. And like, to me, I looking at how Santee had to swing that chair over top of the barricade, like that angle he had to come in at couldn't have been an easy angle. And he hit him flat center in the back. Like, I don't know. I thought it was a pretty safe chair shot.
It was safe. It just wasn't pretty.
No, it was
Uh,
not pretty.
and
Definitely
I think
wasn't pretty.
my favorite part was him running away
Yeah.
after the fact. I'm like, dude, like he's not gonna know you hit him with a chair.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
what are you
everybody,
gonna?
my favorite part of that is just like if you look at the photo, I screenshotted like the photo of him after he hit the guy with the chair and then him running away. And there's these people in the background. I bet you I can even find it here. There's these people in the background that are just like up in arms. Like, what the heck did you do? Like, how on earth did you pull that off, Santee Zap? Like, here we are.
Nobody ever thought in 2024 Santee would turn heel.
Nobody, nobody. There's these people in the background. I'm not sure if you can see them, but they are just like
Oh
losing
yeah,
their mind. They're like, "Are you kidding me?
yeah.
You mark. You
Well,
straight up mark. You get invited to a wrestling show by Top Dollar from Dollar, and you are the first thing you do is pick up a chair and hit the baby face heel turn of the century from Santee Zap.
I'll be honest, man. That heel turn might surpass if Cody ever turns heel. Genuinely. Uh, nobody. Because here's the thing,
Don't
bro.
inflate his ego like that. Don't even remotely start to
No,
say Santee
actually,
Zap
wait a
turning
minute.
heel is as
Hold on.
impactful as
Actually, I
Cody
gotta.
Rhodes turning heel. This
You know
ain't a
what?
thing. The guy's an internet troll, all right? Cody Rhodes is the WWE World Champion.
He's not
No.
the world champion. Hold on. He's not the world champion. He's the
Well,
WWE champion.
Universal Undisputed, whatever. You
Yeah,
get what I'm saying.
he's a champion. Uh, we need Dijak. We need Dijak to go take out Santy. I mean,
Yeah.
how is his chair streams getting more viewers than you actually working than like Tesh Court? Like honestly, because I look at the numbers, he does seem to get more viewers, man. It is unbelievable. Like his rise has been crazy. But
His
I
rise
mean,
has been crazy. Ain't no way you just buried me like that.
no,
His
no.
chair gets more views than you. All right, Nick. All right.
Come on, man. It's all it's all in good fun. Hey,
Hey, I
I
will
couldn't
still
do.
hold this over his head though. The dude was like the day that he went away for AEW and he was there with just the chair stream. Yes, he had more chair viewers on his Twitch stream than I had on mine. But damn it, I had over 1,500 in my YouTube chat, and that counts.
There we go.
I'm gonna
And
flex there. I had more viewers than Santi Zap when he just streamed his chair. All right, I will take that with me to the grave.
I will say, because I watch all of your streams, and even if I'm not in them live, I go back and rewatch them a little bit. I will say, I couldn't do what you do, what Tesh does, Santi, Wheezy. I've tried to be a live streamer with wrestling. I can't do it.
Hmm.
I don't have the focus to be able to do it. And now football, I do. Football, I can do a live stream, no problem. I think with wrestling, it's because I'm such a fan that I try to just watch it as a fan instead of like a commentator.
Mhm.
And you've had to transition to watching as a commentator and a
Sometimes,
fan.
yeah, yeah.
And that's a difficult. So my hat's off to all of you because I could not do what you do
Thanks for
at
saying
all.
that. I don't think though that that's if you don't mind me saying this, I don't think that's the right mindset to have because that whole idea of you can't do it. We can all do it. We're just talking about pro wrestling at the end of the day, right? We've got experience from doing it for a long time and making videos and all that, but like it really is just at the end of the day just talking about pro wrestling. And as a wrestling fan, the more people that you start to get into your chat, the easier it becomes. Like when I started doing these wrestling streams in 2017, oh my goodness. Actually, sorry, mid 2016 is when I started doing the wrestling streams. It wasn't easy, like I ran into the same thing. Like, what do I talk about for these 2-3 hours? Like, how am I going to keep it a fun, entertaining stream? And it's just something that you kind of develop over time, right? It obviously helps that I'm in a position lucky enough to have a lot of people chatting along with me. So anytime that I feel like I don't have anything to say, I can always pull something from the chat. I think it gets difficult when you don't have that ability to pull something from the chat. Let's say you are just kind of starting out and you got a couple viewers in there who aren't really talking along with the show. They're just kind of watching. That's a tough environment to make a live stream in, right? It's not super simple. So all I got to say to that, man, is if you intend on becoming a wrestling streamer at any point, just stick with it and just keep it in the back of your mind that you're just watching the show. And eventually you're going to get some people that come into the stream that enjoy your personality and want to watch Raw with you or SmackDown with you. Um, Becoming a commentator and all that, like, sure, I may yell at the top of my lungs, but that's because that was the style I developed in 2017. Like I felt like that was what was needed at that point, and I've never really been able to shed it. If you're able to just go there and chat with your community and talk about wrestling and joke around, that is a huge, huge thing that is popping off in 2024, I should say. You take a look at what Santi has done, what Wheezy has done, what Sancho has done now, breaking into this sphere. And of course, the others that we've mentioned, like Mr. Tesh and all that. One common theme is that they have the ability to joke around with their community. If you're able to joke around and make people feel safe and have fun in your chat, they're going to keep coming back every single week. So it's not about being the most knowledgeable wrestling fan. It's not about being the best commentator or the best hot takes guy or whatever. It's about developing an honest, true connection with your fan base. And if you can do that, then you're well on your way to seeing big numbers.
I appreciate you saying that. And I mean, hearing that from somebody like you that's worked their butt off to get to the point you're at, uh, it, I- I've tried it. Like I streamed WrestleMania, uh, both nights. I had a buddy of mine come in the stream with me, so that
Mhm.
made it easier just going back for somebody else.
Yep.
And we did have somebody, it was like one person, and they just kept commenting, and we
Perfect.
would react to the comments, but then they left And then they came back like at the main event of night one and was like, I hope Rock falls off the uh ropes because he was like walking around the ropes and they were like, I hope Rock falls off the ropes. We're like, don't say that, and then they left. Because like that's kind of cool. Because to us that was like you're asking for an injury there. Somebody
Yeah,
falls
and
off
like,
a
look,
rope.
there's people like that obviously in the wrestling community, and that your response there is the right response. We obviously don't wish injury on any of these performers that are risking their lives for our entertainment. That's just not what
Right.
we do. But yeah, like it is all just about developing that sense of community, right? And like you said, you brought somebody onto the stream. That's a great way to do it. That's how I started. In 2017 Royal Rumble, I brought my buddy Brandon, who's known as Bob, on the channel, and it was his very first time on there, and the stream popped off. Like, I'm talking, we got almost 900,000 views on that stream. We are number 4 on all of YouTube trending for live streams at the time, which was just insane. But all it was me chatting with another dude, right? Just talking about the show and just having fun watching it. We weren't commentating. I wasn't at that point where I felt like I needed to fill all the silence. I just was watching the show, and it so happened to pop off. And this is even more prevalent in 2024 here, where you have people constantly looking for a community. In 2017, that wasn't a thing, right? You watched wrestling on your own. You might have went on to Twitter. You might have checked out Bleacher Report or watched a YouTube video from Adam Blampied. But other than that, you weren't really doing much in the wrestling community, right? Unless you actively went to the shows, you were just watching it by yourself. And so now in 2024, we have all these different creators that are able to provide fun, different experiences in their communities. Like, some people are the meme group, some people are the hot takes group, some people are the let's just sit back, relax, and have a couple drinks and enjoy. Like, this is a wide range of individuals that are doing wrestling reactions now, and it's such a healthy community. Like, I've never seen a community this excited for so many people in the wrestling sphere.
Right. And you mentioned the healthy community thing, and it's something that me and my buddy were talking about it yesterday. Actually, um, I feel like now, in not just the wrestling sphere, but in like content as a whole, for the most part, we're all supporting each other. We're all
Mhm.
helping each other out. Like you coming on my channel is going to help me out a lot, which I appreciate. And anybody else I can get on helps me out. But also, like being supportive to each other, like having each other's back, giving each other advice. Like it, it back in the day, it was such a cutthroat mindset of, well, this person's trying to take my followers. This person's trying to.
Yeah.
No, that's not, and that's just not the way that we can all succeed. We only succeed. I told my buddy this, and he agreed. We're only going to succeed if we all stick together with the same mindset of just because Santi's out, who will not oil up. We need to talk about it. We need to talk about it. Why won't he oil up? Um, gets the numbers he gets doesn't mean it's taking away from you or Tesh or Wheezy or Minnie or anybody else in the wrestling sphere or in the streaming sphere. Because I mean, Jake TV just did. I think it was like a month-long subathon
Yep.
again.
Yep.
Dude, he's doing a lot of those. He's killing it.
Yeah, he's crushing it right now. He's also crushing R-Truth and The Miz and Seth Rollins. Just every single week, that dude is out there just tsunami after tsunami. But no, you nailed it right on the head there, man. That it's super important as a content creator to be able to develop communities. And if you look, say, at like the other spheres that are online. Let's use gaming for example. One thing that helped gaming was constant collaborations, constant joking back and forth on social media, and creating this sense of like my community and your community are intertwined, but at the same time we have our own personalities. And that's what's happening in wrestling right now. I'm not going to sit here and say that wrestling is ever going to be as popular as gaming, because gaming is like, it's just crazy how many viewers there are for it. But like what we've seen now with the rise of Sandy Zap, Wheezy Blonde, myself, Mr. Tesh, Minnie, you've got Jake, you've got, like, you name them, right? You name them across the board. There's a lot of great content creators that are just joking with each other and interacting on like social media. Most of the time when you see myself tweet something, there's bound to be another content creator replying to it and joking back with me. And that didn't exist a few years ago. That's only, to me at least, it's only started existing within the last year and a half. I met Santi Zap, I met Mr. Tesh, I met Suplex at AEW Forbidden Door. And ever since then, it's just kind of like when we discussed content creation and the state of it, we all kind of had this clicking moment where it's like, yeah, you're right, Nick. There isn't all these different type of communities fighting for each other's viewership. We're all in the same kind of bubble here, and people are going to go from stream to stream and video to video, but they still watch everybody, right? They still check out what everybody's doing. And so realizing that that was an opportunity for us content creators to grow those communities, to joke around with each other some more, to collaborate some more with each other. And in that year and a half, you've seen firsthand, obviously, just the explosion of the wrestling community with creators like BDE, for example, was on TNA. And when he was on TNA, all these creators came out and congratulated him. 5 years ago, that would have been people making videos on why BDE shouldn't have been on TNA, with how he's an embarrassment to the sport, how the sport has gone to shit. And I mean, I'm sure Jim Cornette has been ripping it a new one because he already ripped us a new one for reacting to the streams. But he doesn't understand modern marketing. He's just a dinosaur. So it's understandable here why we've got all these creators blowing up at the same time, because we get it. This community gets it. The wrestling viewers get it. And like, it has now come to the point where after Money in the Bank, I couldn't believe this. I said to Mr. Tesh that we kind of felt like minor celebrities, and this is the ego talking right now, but we felt like minor celebrities walking around outside the arena. And it's hilarious because we don't have to take any of the bumps. We're basically wrestlers at this point without taking bumps. Like, that's how much wrestling fans recognize this community. It's just insane to say, because like when I started in 2017, 2016, 2017 with wrestling content, I didn't envision it going in this direction. It was all everybody out for themselves. You have your one channels, nobody collaborates. And when they do collaborate, it's like the biggest deal in the world, right? Now you can't go a couple of days without seeing another YouTuber collaborating with somebody else. It's amazing to see.
Right. And you mentioned y'all are like wrestlers now without having to take the bumps. You really are. Like the things and the perks that creators get. I'm gonna say we, but I'm not at the level of any of y'all yet. Um, like WWE when Punk returned, showing all of y'all's reactions on TV on Monday Night Raw, that was huge.
Yeah.
Putting you in the documentary for the WrestleMania 40 main event.
Not
Like,
me. Not
well,
me.
you know what? You know what though? They missed the biggest reaction of them all, because if I remember correctly, I watched it back. You kissed Cody Rhodes after he
Oh yeah.
won?
Yep. Straight up. Give him a big old smooch.
That might have been. I'm not gonna say that was the reason, but it could have been the reason they
It's
didn't show you
probably the reason. It's probably the reason. I
because
did
they've
have
shown you before.
someone
They've
from
shown you before.
I did have someone from WWE reach out afterwards. It was at Money in the Bank, just basically saying like, "Hey, sorry we didn't include you." And I'm like, "I don't apologize to me. Like, the fact that we're even on your radar, the fact that I was included with the CM Punk returns, like, it's just it's WWE's way of tipping their cap to us. And there's so many of us doing it now that you can't feature everybody in everything, right? Like, you just simply can't. And so, yeah, the documentary at the time, it was a little bit like, okay, dagger to the heart. You know what I mean? Like, it would have been cool to be featured, but at the same time, I've been featured in some other stuff from WWE, like a random NXT. Sorry, the stupid fruit fly is still in here.
Oh,
He's
you're
been in
good,
here for
man.
like 3 days. I can't get rid of him.
You're
Um,
good, man.
but like I lost my train of thought right there. We were. Can you just bring me back on track? Where were we?
Yeah, so we were talking about like creators being featured
Thank you. Yeah.
in
So
WWE.
when I got featured on NXT for like a random reaction, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, that, I didn't expect that. And then being featured for the CM Punk thing was also crazy. But I had also been featured in the build to Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair at WrestleMania 37
7.
right? 37.
Yeah, 37. Because that
Okay,
was
yeah, the main event there. I was featured in the build
yeah.
to that. Like, my reaction was in that, and that was the very first time I'd ever seen WWE do things like that, where they took fan reactions and put them in a video package. Then there was nothing for a few years until Lee Fitting kind of took over for WWE's production side of things. And the new digital media team that WWE has, they're great at what they do. And they realize that us content creators, we are bringing so many eyes to WWE. Like, the amount of lapsed fans that have begun to watch again because they find us on TikTok or Instagram is insane. Like, I'll scroll through the comments, and I'm not even the top guy. I'm either number 2 or number 3 when it comes to what it is we do here. And my comments are just loaded with people saying that, thanks to you, I'm watching pro wrestling again. It's like, that's crazy to me. Like, that's actually insane that this TikTok has been able to blow up and bring in so many lapsed fans. Like, the fact that when I talk to my friends, they're like, hey, what's going on in WWE now? They're interested in what's going on. They say, hey, I saw your TikTok the other day, or I saw your Instagram, and like, that looked cool. My best friend in the world reached out after Odyssey Jones debuted. He said, hey, saw your TikTok. Who is this Odyssey Jones guy? Like, that to me is just wild. And I can't believe we're at that state right here where we are literally the way that people watch WWE.
Well, I mean, it also helps with like the way the world is now, the way social media is now. Everybody wants something in an instant. They don't want to have to go back and rewatch something. They want to be able to see it instantly on their phones, 30 seconds to a minute long
Yep.
stuff. So TikTok, as helpful as it's been though, for certain content creators, and I'll add you in this, they have kind of been a detriment as well. Like Instagram, you're not getting copyright claimed on Instagram and having to make brand new accounts. On TikTok, I think all of you, maybe outside of one or two, have multiple accounts because your
Mhm.
accounts keep getting shut down for either it's something you've shown or something you like. I remember I got a video and I had to delete it. There was a video of me talking about Chris Jericho, and it got copyright claimed
Yep.
instantly by Fight TV. And all it was a screenshot of Chris behind me, like a green screen,
Yep.
and it got pulled. And but my other videos of other people of actual match film doesn't get touched, but yet a
It's
screenshot of
it's such a
Jericho
it's such a
does.
tough platform to figure out. Like, to touch on like the multiple accounts thing, we're all back to one now. What it was for a long time was, there's this thing called the creativity program,
Right.
and you basically had 5 strikes of videos getting hit before you got removed from the creativity program. So to fight that, basically we would upload on different platforms, or different accounts. That's the word. Just upload on different accounts, throughout the week. So like, we would do a week on one, and then a week on another, and another week somewhere else. And usually that would get us towards the end of the month, right? That's no longer a thing because the creativity program has outright denied reaction content now. So everybody's all back on one account. At least I know the people that I've spoken to are all back on one account now. And the reason being for that is because there's no need anymore to spread our content everywhere when you're not going to be able to be in the creativity program to begin with, right? So being in the creativity program was awesome for a little while. We knew that the day was coming that this was going to happen. We just didn't know when, right? And so we were setting ourselves up for success for as long as possible before the hammer eventually came down. And now that the hammer has come down and the creativity program no longer allows reaction content, we're able to go back onto one channel. It's used as like a marketing tool now, where it's like, hey, all of our stuff here, if you want to watch it live, come join the live streams. Or if you want to check out videos, go to our YouTube page. Or if you want to see something more, go to Patreon. You know what I mean? It's used as more of a marketing tool to bring in viewers now, as opposed to a tool to build revenue.
Right. And that I remember the when the creator program was like, yeah, wrestling reactions won't be included. And I'm like, that's to me, that's just ridiculous. Like, because that's taking money out of people's pockets.
Yeah.
And like that's just TikTok to me. And I was reluctant, just like you were, to ever get on TikTok, to ever touch TikTok.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I'm on YouTube. I'm gonna stick to YouTube. Then when you made the switch over to Twitch, I made a Twitch account. just so I can go follow you on Twitch. I'm like, I'll stay on Twitch, I'll do YouTube, I'm not doing TikTok. Eventually, I ended up having to do TikTok, and it did great for my channel.
Mhm.
But it's like there's some times where I'm just like, do I even want to go on TikTok and deal with all the restrictions of what you can and can't put,
Yeah.
what you can and can't say?
It's a headache,
I
man. It's a
Oh yeah,
straight
for
up
sure.
headache. It's a platform that I think has been too easy for people to make money on, that has been taken advantage of for a long time. And so they've went the opposite direction saying, okay, well, let's stop this, right? We're bleeding money here. I get it from a business perspective. And look, we were uploading reused content when you really break it down, right? We're uploading our reactions to a live show that is happening, and a lot of us are uploading the same sort of clips, right? It makes sense that TikTok would take a look at that and say, why are we having to pay out 100,000 wrestling content creators, every single month when it's really not original content? It's just them reacting to a show. Original content is when you produce it start to finish, you edit it start to finish, and there is no reused content, no images of like licensed material, like for Chris Jericho, for example, right? Just nothing that is unoriginal. Or sorry, nothing that is unoriginal is allowed, basically. And so it sucks. You're right. It does sound like a bad idea on the surface, but I get why they do it. What I don't like seeing is that TikTok has basically lumped wrestling all into one category. People like Denise Salcedo, who just
Yes.
upload literally interview stuff, she got dinged. Her account got removed from the creativity program, and that's not fair. Seeing that is the effect of us uploading our wrestling reaction content is not fun. And that is something that needs to be fixed for wrestling creators out there who do produce original content. You deserve to be paid for your original content, especially when the system is set up that way through TikTok. So personally, I feel bad that we were partly cause of that. Like I know we were, because us uploading the wrestling reactions got wrestling as a whole kind of dinged. And TikTok needs to fix that. We're not going back to making money off of these wrestling reactions. That ship has sailed. But for Denise to not be able to make money off of her interviews that are legitimately good original content that people want to consume, like it stinks to see. And I hope TikTok fixes that.
I, I didn't know if you wanted to touch on that, like Denise, Malcolm,
Yeah.
like those people that they travel, they do the interviews. Like Sean Ross Sapp goes to the media stuff, he does the interviews, and they can post them on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. It's no problem. But then you put them on TikTok, and they get kicked out because they're in the wrestling sphere. Like to me, what we do is different because we're just reacting. We're not at the show in the press conference doing media. Denise does interviews on her channel. She has connections to wrestlers to get them on her channel. She does them when she goes to shows, like, and she works her butt off. And like you said, TikTok needs to fix that to where
Yeah.
she can reap the benefit of all of her hard work
Oh,
because
absolutely.
it's taking money out of her pocket. It's taking money out of Malcolm's pocket. I don't know what the numbers are that they make. I don't care about the numbers are that what they make, but
Yeah,
it does
you're
hurt
you're
them
you're right.
financially.
You're right. It's not fair, and it needs to be fixed, which I think it will be. I've dealt with enough headaches from TikTok to know that they change every single month. They look at what they're doing, and everything
It
changes the
really,
next month. It's impossible to figure out. So I imagine they'll right the wrong here, but it does kind of stink to see happen to good people.
right. I wanted to ask you because you mentioned, and we kind of talked, we talked about WWE seeing creators and putting them on their show. I gotta know, do you think that it's the AEW needs to start maybe doing that? Not
Yeah.
because, well, because one, it helps them out. Two, it helps out the channels that are doing the content because you're on a national TV audience. But three, I don't think Tony Khan, as much as he's on Twitter, actually reads what anybody tweets. I know he doesn't read what he tweets half the time because it worries me. I don't know if he's tweeting or if it's somebody else, but some of his tweets they gotta stop.
Yeah.
Don't you agree? Like Triple H, you don't see Triple H tweeting about AEW. You don't see him bashing AEW or talking about AEW. You see him quote tweet a WWE tweet, maybe tweet something about, when a wrestler wins a championship, giving credit to a wrestler, something like that. But you don't see him publicly say anything negative or positive about AEW. Tony Khan goes on NFL Network, and if I remember the quote correctly, and I apologize if I botch it, I believe he called pro wrestling some type of beverage,
Okay.
or WWE some type of beverage. I don't remember the beverage. But it was like an off-brand Coca-Cola, or it was something like that.
They
Something
called him the Harvey Weinstein of pro wrestling,
that
and
that's what it
that's not a beverage. Uh,
Well, I don't, dude. Half the stuff he says, I don't understand it
yeah,
anymore.
fair, fair. I get where you're going with this. Yeah. Look, everybody. Let me put this into perspective, okay? Santi Zap's number one. I am number two or number three. You're not going to hear Santi go out of his way to kind of highlight something he doesn't want to highlight because it brings more attention to it. On the other hand, fighting up, you might mention something that is going to bring attention to it because it will bring more attention to you. For example, the oil up stuff. That's a meme that started within this community, right? I ran with it. Hell yeah. Santi needs to oil up. Absolutely. But
Oh
he's
my
not going to be the
god,
one out
dude.
here saying he needs to oil up. I'm going to say he needs to oil up, right? And in turn, there might be a few more followers for me. You never know. It's the way that kind of works. You know, the people on top never truly bury the people underneath them because what's the purpose? Why would you want to do that? You just bring more attention to what they got going on as opposed to the other way around. They're trying to make their name known. And so they're pushing the boundaries on what should and shouldn't be said. Do I agree with Tony Khan's decisions to tweet the things he does? Nah, not at all. Do I agree with Triple H liking photos on Instagram that's burying AEW? No, not at all. Like, I think they're both at
Yeah,
fault. WWE tends to do it more backhanded. AEW is a little more outright forward with it, which rubs people the wrong way. All of it, tribalism in wrestling, stupid, stupid, stupid. And let's just enjoy the sport. Like, we're not the wrestlers. We're not the ones getting paid by these companies. Just enjoy what you enjoy. That's my opinion.
right. My thing is, and I've said this to my friends before, because my friends they watch WWE, they don't watch AEW. I watch AEW, WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor. I'm a sicko. I watch all of it. I
Yep.
will never say anything bad publicly to hurt AEW, but what bothers me is when people that are only watching WWE want to negatively talk about AEW. Like, watch the product, and then if you don't like what they're doing or you don't like something, then you can say it. But don't say it without giving it a chance. Like, I didn't start watching AEW, I don't think, until 2021. And it was there for 2 years. I just didn't watch it. I started watching it because people were like, give it a chance. I finally gave it a chance, and I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Now it does help that Will Ospreay is on TV, and I think he is the greatest professional wrestler on the planet right now. But I love MJF. I loved Cody in AEW. Uh, if he had to come back over and feud with Roman, I would have still loved him when he was in WWE the whole time.
Right.
But
Right.
like, and fans pick side. Like, Jake is Team Roman, I'm Team Roman, you're Team Cody. Tesh is Team whatever Zilla tells him to be on. Let's just call a spade
Fair.
a spade. If Zilla tells him you're on Jacob's team, Zilla's like 6'3", 6'4", and a Samoan. Tesh is going to be on Jacob's team. He's not going to say no. Like, Santi is on the teams he's on. Wheezy's on the teams she's on. And I don't think Wheezy gets enough credit for like what she does, because people talk bad about, like, when these reactions go out and you see you popping, you see Tesh popping, Santi freaking out in a hotel because CM Punk's there but he can't yell because he's on vacation and it's like 2 a.m, or like Jake falling out of his chair and freaking out when Roman shows up. And then you look at Wheezy and she's just in her chair, she's just reacting normally to the situation, and people kind of gave her like flack about it. So she redid her reaction. I think Weezy does it right. She doesn't, I mean, y'all all do it right, but she doesn't overreact and try to make it a spectacle. She's just like, oh, that's awesome. And like when she does her Instagram lives, she never says, I think this will happen. I think she's like, I'm just going to watch the show. You know, you'll get my reaction when you watch my stream. I'm not going to speculate because I'm not the one booking the shows. And as a wrestling fan, and I do it, we all do it, it's fun to speculate as to what's going to happen.
Mhm.
But I really don't think Wheezy or Minnie for that matter, uh, get enough credit for the work they do because as streamers, it does seem like a predominantly, I don't know how to say it, but like,
Male dominated space.
yeah,
I'll go
yeah,
ahead and say it. Yeah, it is. No, Wheezy and Minnie are two of my closest friends in this business, I guess you could call it. They are incredible with the shit that they go through. This is not me trying to glaze them, but I can't imagine being a female in this male dominated space and seeing the type of messages that they do on a daily. They are opened up to a lot more criticism just simply because they are female. And that's horrible to see, but ever since they broke into this space, it has become 10 times healthier. They're calling out the shit that needs to be called out, and I absolutely applaud them for that. They're incredible people. They work so damn hard. It doesn't matter what our reactions are. We're all just watching wrestling. But like for knowing the stuff that they go through, being a female content creator in a male dominated space such as pro wrestling, it's not easy, but they persevere through it. They work hard and they're shutting the haters up as a result. So all the credit in the world goes to Minnie and Wheezy for what they have done in this space.
absolutely. And I didn't want to say the male dominated thing, but it is like you said,
It
it
is.
is a male dominated thing.
Oh, it is.
I
Yeah.
just
Nothing wrong saying that. It is.
right. And then you have people on Twitter, and we can touch on him if you want to. I'm going to mention him. You don't have to say anything. Um, it's up to you. You've got idiots on Twitter like that JD from New York guy
No, no,
that just
hold up. No, I don't want to be a part of any of that.
all right.
JD's a fine
I'll just
guy. He has his opinions. We're all just wrestling content creators at the end of the day, and
out.
we wrestling opens us up because you're all opinionated, right? And a lot of people cannot differentiate what is just a wrestling opinion from a wrestling content creator on their show versus something that's actually worth being upset over. I'm not sitting here and I'm not defending the man or anything because he has had some comments through the years. But at the same time, I have spoken with him, and we're just wrestling content creators. You know, things can definitely get blown out of proportion. I know I've had it happen to me, right? People see a clip and they react. Santi's had it happen. Teshka's had it happen. People only watch the clip and they don't watch the whole show, which is kind of the issue that you mentioned with AEW. If you don't watch the show, how can you comment on it if you just watched a 5-second clip? That happens when it comes to wrestling creators. And a lot of people out there clip things maliciously. They try to make things sound bad out of context when you don't have the whole 2-minute lead up story leading to it. And they take a 5-second clip out of there, and that's what people run with. So I don't want to go down that path. I know there's some idiots on Twitter. I know there's some very opinionated people on Twitter, but at the end of the day, wrestling content creators are all just trying to produce wrestling content for the viewers, right? We're out here watching the show, dissecting it, giving opinions. Sometimes people aren't going to like those opinions, and sometimes people aren't going to like you because of your opinions. And especially if you're very opinionated when it comes to it and stuck kind of with what you say goes, yeah, there's not going to be a lot of people that like that. So I totally applaud what everybody in the space is doing to build this, because it's not just one of us. It's all of us that are working to create a sphere that we feel wrestling fans can be a part of. There is idiots. Those idiots will fizzle out over time, but the people who are honestly good at what they do will rise to the top.
Right, and I wasn't gonna say anything bad about him. I watch his post shows. I do. I watch all of his post shows. He's entertaining, but it was like you said though. Like when I'm on my podcast, I'm not the Nick I am around my family. I'm playing a character. That's kind of how all of us are at a certain extent, where we're playing characters. Like
Yep.
your actual name is not Conman.
Nope.
Like, that's not your birth given name. Wheezy's real name is not Wheezy. Tesh's real name's not Tesh. It's all a character. It's all a gimmick, which is why we're all kind of like wrestlers at this point. We all
Oh,
have gimmicks. We
yeah.
just don't. We just don't wake up in the morning and think to ourselves, "That match really hurt us last night. That chair shot really hurt." Although I know you've spoken about it, and I can speak about it. When you're sitting in a chair for 3 to 4 hours and you get up, it's dude,
Oh my God, my back
the
hates
back
me.
the
Uh,
back pain that I feel after I get done working on something or recording something. Oh, dude, I gotta get up and walk for a minute. It's bad. But
Same. Yeah.
we all love what we do. We love doing this. If we didn't love it, we wouldn't do it.
hmm
Because if you're I look at it this way, if you're in it to make money,
You're in it for the
then
wrong
you're in it
reasons.
right. Now,
Yeah.
if you make money while you're in it, that's great. That's fantastic. You have found something that you love, that you can do, and that you can make money off of. But if you get into it with the idea that you're going to make money, you're never going to make money. You're never going to make a dollar because your mind will say, I'm doing this, but it's not working. I'm not making money. Well, maybe because your mindset is, I only want to make money,
Yeah.
not I want to enjoy what I do. I do want to speak on this real quick because we've talked about Mr. Tesh, we've talked about Santi. They both had a podcast, Straight Shoot, a wrestling podcast, and now it is you and Mr. Tesh. How did that conversation come about of you and him working together on this podcast? And what is in the future of the Straight Shoot, a wrestling podcast?
For sure. Great question, man. This started out last year for Edge's retirement on SmackDown. I believe that was just last year. Myself and Mr. Tesh met up again in Toronto before that show. And we just kind of shot the shit for a little bit. We sat at Real Sports Bar, had a couple drinks, and just kind of talked about channel and content creation. And he mentioned to me that Santi Zap was looking to leave the channel, if not already had left, because he had so much going on with his own growth that he didn't have the time to put into Straight Shoot that was required to grow the Straight Shoot brand, which is very fair because it does take quite a bit of time to line up two people's schedules, right? So when he left, there was a bit of a gap there with Straight Shoot. And I know Mr. Tesh tried bringing on Wheezy, Heel Kevin, like bringing on a bunch of different creators to kind of all be in this same space. But very quickly, that didn't work out. It wasn't what their goal was as a wrestling podcast, right? It wasn't working the way they wanted to. And so he hit a little bit of the reset button. And he mentioned to me at Real Sports that if you're ever interested in doing some content, we have this channel called Straight Shoot. And so we talked a little bit about Straight Shoot and some potential ideas with it. And I said, hey, reach out to me in about a month. Let's see if we can line up some dates. And if it works well, if the conversation goes well, then maybe there's something more here. And it worked. To be perfectly honest, like I think we need to be more consistent with how often we post over there. But at the end of the day, it's nice knowing that you have somebody else who is like-minded as yourself working towards a collective goal. So for the future of Straight Shoot, the goal is we've just recently reintroduced our Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown reviews that take place at the very end of the stream. And that is being uploaded in its entirety to Straight Shoot. So people get their reviews every single Raw, every single SmackDown. We're also getting back into creating some of the reaction content that we did over there, plus the short content. Uh, the goal is just to produce and to make videos together and create a conversation. We both have our own brands. Those are our focus, first and foremost. But Straight Shoot is a fun place for both of us to kind of go when we want to make some videos. And like myself and Mr. Tesh have a great back and forth. We really do get along. And it's a great place for us to actually have a channel to upload things on that we want to. So who knows truly what type of projects we're going to have in the future. We obviously went to Money in the Bank together. I know we're going to both look at going to Survivor Series in Vancouver. Whether or not we're actually able to make that happen is another question. But that's probably the future, man, is just more content over there on Straight Shoot, more interactions between myself and Mr. Tesh, of course, the reviews, and more short content.
All right, man, fantastic. Al, you mentioned Survivor Series Vancouver. I also saw your tweet the day it was announced that it was for Survivor Series in Vancouver. I don't know how much of your private life you want to touch on, but have you already had that conversation? of you might be going to this and it might be a thing, and kind
Yep.
of where everything stands as far as like, because there's a lot of shows happening around Canada, and it's great. Me personally, I love the international crowds because I'll put Canada in this. Y'all kick America's butt every single time. Bro, the crowds over there in Canada and the UK, anywhere they go, it's like, oh my
It's
gosh.
loud. It's
Oh,
loud. It's filled with a bunch of passionate fans. I will touch on the first part that you mentioned there in a second, but to touch on that, the fans of Canada have been spoiled this year, and like we are getting more and more shows. Like it used to be just one tour a year, right? They would come to Toronto once a year, and they might go out west once a year, and that was really it. But now it really feels like they've been touring Canada a lot. Like when we had Elimination Chamber in 2023 there before WrestleMania 39. I thought that was the last pay-per-view we're going to get for a while, but then they came back for Money in the Bank in Toronto here in 2024, and now they're going to Vancouver, and they've been to Ottawa for a Monday Night Raw. They've been to Toronto for a Monday Night Raw. They've been to Edmonton. They've been to Calgary. Like, it's crazy to see how often they're actually coming around right now, and I think it is totally because of what you said. We've got a passionate fan base here, and it's not as international as, say, going to Europe. It's right there, they just have to go north. It makes sense why we're getting more shows, and as long as the fans continue to show up the way they do, I see no reason why WWE is going to stop going.
right. And I gotta ask because we talked about how wrestlers have to be okay with the promo that is going to happen. Gunther Damian was, I think, a great feud between the two of them. I think Damian's title reign got cut short, but I think that was to set up this Judgment Day feud with Damian and Rhea versus the new Judgment Day.
Yep.
I gotta ask you, we're obviously getting the tag match of Bash and Merlin, Dominic and Liv, Damian and Rhea. I'm going to Bad Blood in Atlanta in October. I am hoping to see Liv versus Rhea, and of course, I gotta see Liv win. I'm a Liv fan. I love Rhea, but Rhea was never my mommy. Okay, it was always Liv. Dominic made the right choice. Look, man, I'm a wrestling fan.
No way
We're
you just said that. Oh, she was never my mommy, Liv was. Oh my god, dude.
Hey, dude, look, it's Liv Morgan gave the man chicken tendies and a PS5.
Yeah, you can't
Did it
fault
get
him.
any? Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
you can't fault him. I understand why the man folded. I get it.
I'm surprised he didn't fold sooner.
Yeah, let's be real.
I'm on
Yeah.
record. I'm on record saying in my review videos, I would have folded the first night. It wouldn't have even been a question. I would have happened, bro. Like I'm not ashamed
Sorry,
to admit
sorry to
that.
Mrs. Nick Beasley then.
Do what?
Oh,
What'd you
just
say?
sorry to your future wife. Nick's ready to
Oh,
fold.
look. I mean, listen. If I ever get lucky enough to find somebody and get married, that will probably go away. But at 21, I'm single. A man can dream, can't he?
He can.
She
He certainly
she
can,
she
man.
is currently single. I don't know
Hey,
what happened in that
I
relationship, but she is
if that
currently
helps your
single.
odds, right? If that helps your odds, I don't know how much that's helping it, but hey, you never know.
If I get a job by WWE, it really helps my odds.
Yeah,
Uh,
there you go.
but I gotta ask, do you think Rhea and Damian win at Bash and then Liv retains at Bad Blood, or you think Rhea wins the title back at Bad Blood?
I don't see Rhea bringing the title back anytime soon. I think Liv is going to run with it for a bit. So I think you're good. I think you're good. Liv will probably retain, but yeah, I guess anything could happen. The story could dictate Rhea needs the title back, needs to get her win back over Liv, but I see the more impactful thing being Liv Morgan holding on to the title.
I mean, right now she is absolutely, and this is something that Liv Morgan fans have wanted for a long time, is her to finally get that spotlight and for her to get it and be the. I know they say there's no leaders, but there's clearly a leader in this new Judgment Day, and it is Liv Morgan. I know Finn is the one cutting the promos, but if if Liv tells them go take out Damien while I handle Rhea, they're gonna do it. They're not gonna, say nah. They're the leaders. We're not doing that. I could see this going to be like, and they're about to be on Netflix in January. So I gotta ask, do you think? Because I think this runs for at least a year with Rhea or with Liv and Dom.
Okay.
Do you think we ever get something like the Edge Lita type of stuff we got back in the day
Oh,
with
no.
this?
No. No, we're
Thank
not
God.
seeing a live sex celebration. No.
Well,
I
I'm
think there's
not
going
even
to
going that far. I'm just saying,
like
like anything close to it.
I don't think you're going to see anything that is outright suggesting they're having sex on TV. I do see the partnership. I do see them having an edgier bit to them. Like what they're doing right now is edgy, right? Compared to what we've seen for WWE through the last however many years. I think what they're doing right now is perfect. There's no need to make it that next step, because the reason why that was featured on TV was because it was Liv either trying to woo Dom or Dom not folding. There was a reason for it happening. Now that Liv has Dom, I don't know what you will get out of leaning into that sexual side of things other than
Yeah,
just like going after the young teenager viewer. It's like you can still do that with the way that people dress and all that. It's yeah, I don't think that we're going to see outright sexual storyline stuff with Dom and Liv. But again, this is because I am stuck in the WWE mindset of the last however many years, right? It seems ridiculous to think that that could happen on TV. But once we do go to Netflix, anything is possible. So if it did happen, I don't think I'd be surprised. I just think it wouldn't be the direction I would send their characters. We're trying to establish Dom and Liv as more of like a threat. Let's establish them as like a threat of a couple, but not just here for sex appeal.
right. And I did notice after SummerSlam, after the turn, they have stopped kissing. They've just been doing the
Oh
Eskimo
yeah.
kiss with the noses, like, and
Now
a
that
lot of
that
that.
I imagine will change with Netflix. That's more so because of the PG rating and like what time they're on the screen and what they can and can't do. Like there's so many rules and regulations to following the PG ruling before 10 p.m., right? PG after 10 p.m. and PG before 10 p.m. are very, very different. But after 10 p.m., you can get away with that type of stuff where there is actual kissing or sexual themes being presented. Beforehand, you can't, right? That's what makes it a TV 14 show is the sexual themes that are involved in pro wrestling. That's why when you look at AEW, it is TV 14. You have this sexual themes throughout the entirety of the show. The language is one thing with people saying bitch like it's just it's going out of style, you know what I mean? But when you have those themes, that's what will elevate the rating from a PG to a PG-13 or a TV 14, right? Uh, and WWE's been smart to navigate that with this whole Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio feud. They don't put them on super early, and when they do, they're just rubbing each other's nose. They're not actually making out, or they're not actually groping each other or climbing on top of each other or falling on the, you know what I mean? It's very tame what they're doing right now, and it's focusing on the fact that yes, Liv Morgan stole Dominic Mysterio and the title from Ripley, and Ripley needs to get even. And I think that that's just wrestling storytelling 101.
Right. And I gotta ask, because we kind of talked about AEW a little bit, but we
Yep.
do know AEW All In is this Sunday, I believe. Right? Yeah, this
Yep.
Sunday. What match or matches are you looking most forward to so far that's been called on the card? I'll say, me personally, Osprey, MJF, and Danielson Swerve are my top two matches that I'm looking forward to watching. What about you?
I'll be honest with you. I have not been following it as closely as I need to. Wednesdays have been a little bit more of my rest day, and I'm only catching up on social media. So right now, I feel very out of the loop. I am not particularly aware with everything that is going on. I am aware that we've got Danielson versus Swerve, and it's being built up as Danielson's like last match. If he loses, he's done. He's not going to lose. He's going to win that title and go on a bit of a run with it. And
He's
that'll
not
be his
under
retirement run.
contract.
So like I'm down with Danielson going over in Wembley, or at Wembley, I should say. Everything else though, I'll be honest. Like, did I see that we're doing Bucks FTR again? I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure what's going on.
I think, yeah.
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 So, like, I'll be
No,
honest.
no,
I'll
no,
watch the
no.
show because 9 times out of 10 this is my outlook on AEW. When I watch without being ingrained into the community, I have a much better time than being ingrained into the community. There's a reason I stopped streaming AEW, and it's in part because I started streaming TNA, and I like one night off a week to be able just to kind of catch my breath, right? I don't find myself missing the week to week AEW, but I know for a fact I'm not going to miss their pay per view because every time I watch a pay per view of theirs, it's great wrestling. Like through the card, there's very few actual bad matches that take place on an AEW pay per view. There's matches that people maybe don't care about, people that aren't interested in the story or the outcome or whatever, but the reality of it is most of the matches AEW puts on their pay-per-views are great matches. And so I find myself actively getting excited for pay-per-views from AEW, but I don't have that weekly feeling. There's nothing that's making me go out of my way to check out what's going on Collision, Rampage, or Dynamite. It's just if I see it on social media that something cool happened, I'll go check it out. But like, am I at the point anymore where I'm like, Tony Khan's has a massive announcement? Am I going to go watch the show just for the massive announcement? No, I'm really not. I'll catch up on Twitter afterwards. So the must see feeling of AEW is completely gone for me. And so my interest in the stories that they're telling are completely gone. But all I know is that it is where, and I hate to use their tagline, it is where the best wrestle. They do produce the best 20-minute matches on a consistent basis. If we look what happened on Monday Night Raw, that banger between Sheamus and Pete Dunne was great. There's a lot of matches that reach that type of level in AEW just without the story behind it, right? If there's the story behind it in WWE, people are invested in what happens with the result because the story is going somewhere. With AEW, it's more so that was a really great match. And that's where it ends, right? For me, at least. Not me trying to bury AEW at all, because I still think they produce great TV. It's just not for me anymore. There's so much wrestling out there that I will go out of my way to watch the pay-per-views, but the week-to-week shows, unless there's a true honest God banger on it, it's not for me.
No, I completely agree. And like you mentioned Rampage and Collision. I'm at a point now where, it's 3 hours on Monday night for Raw.
Yep.
Then you got 2 hours for NXT, 2 hours Dynamite, 2 hours TNA or Ring of Honor, whichever one you prefer. Then 2 hours SmackDown. There is a very little chance, unless they put on like a 5-star match on Rampage, that I'm going from watching Friday Night SmackDown, where I could see Cody and Roman and Solo, to watch Rampage for an extra hour on a Friday night when maybe there's a baseball game or maybe football is about to be back, so maybe there's a football game I want to watch. Like I don't watch Rampage, and I rarely watch Collision, if ever. Like I think I watched this past weekend because Sammy Guevara was on there, but outside of that, like I don't. My weekends I spend watching football and spending time with family. I don't try to. My week I spend working on content and doing stuff, and then that Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, I'm just after SmackDown. Okay, I can breathe for a
Yeah.
minute. And I mean, football is about to start back, so that's just gonna my schedule is gonna be exponentially harder once that starts because I'll be streaming on Sundays and Mondays and Thursdays, and
Right.
it's
That
yeah,
adds
it's
up.
gonna
Yeah,
be
yeah, like, the live atmosphere adds up, and, like, that's the main reason why I don't stream AEW on Wednesdays anymore is because I do need that breather, right? Especially when you do have pay-per-views on the weekend. Now that we've expanded to 2 nights of Mania, we're going to 2 nights of SummerSlam. It's only a matter of time before it's 2 Royal Rumbles. You know what I mean? Like, it's gonna get busier and busier as we go, which from a
2 nights
content creation side
Survivor
of things,
Series.
yeah, like, once we from a content side of things, it's great for us, but it does take up a lot of extra time and a lot of extra effort, to be able to stream. Like, people don't realize how much, and I'm not going to say that streaming is the hardest job in the world, because it's not. People who do a 9 to 5 are obviously, you're way more tired. You got to go places. You got to come home. You got to do a job for a pay that doesn't feel right. You know what I mean? Like, there's way tougher jobs than streaming. What I will say is it is taxing streaming on the mental health, because you have to interact with a million messages in just a single stream, right? And you're reading all those messages and you're trying to communicate to everybody. So like getting that little moment away just to hit that reset button is so needed. And so a lot of people, they burn out in this industry, right? They burn out super quick because they go balls to the wall saying, okay, I'm going to stream everything. I'm going to stream Raw, NXT, Dynamite, SmackDown, TNA, Rampage, Collision, pay-per-views, live events, news, you name it. That's I can't even count on one hand or two hands there for how many things I just listed, right? Like that's all in 1 week every single week. So people who try to do everything are definitely going to burn out.
No, absolutely, and that just shows even more credit to, like, you, and, like, Jake TV that y'all do the subathons for like, you did the subathon for, WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Dude, honestly, and I know, like, it doesn't end till the clock ends, but you also control the clock. I'm honestly surprised sometimes when content creators don't just be like, "You know what? I'm done. I'm out," and just leave. I mean, it's financially beneficial to y'all, but the mental health and then the time away from family and
Yeah.
it can put, strains on things, and it's just that's why I give people like you, Tesh, Santi, Wheezy like, Wheezy works a 9 to 5,
Yep,
then comes home
and
and
streams.
streams.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
streams. No, but you nailed
She
it, man. It is very difficult to manage real life with streaming because most people are done work at 8 p.m., right? Most people are at home wanting to unwind and maybe watch a movie or a show, and that's it. It's 8 p.m. You don't get that in this space. You're working throughout the entire day, trying to come up with content, trying to make content, and then nighttime rolls around. And it's like, oh, now it's my job. Like, now I actually have to show up, sort of thing. And you do the entire day. You spend the entire day working, and then you show up to live stream for 3-4 hours at times. It's a lot. It certainly is. I'm very lucky to have the support system that I do in my life, who is very understanding. My beautiful fiance, Becca, she has been incredibly understanding through the years in making this happen. And this you mentioned the subathon, right? That's something that I'm never going to do again. And it's not because I didn't have a great time. I really did, but it's because of the way it affected the people around me. Being gone for 30 days is very difficult, especially when you have family members in the hospital, when you have a fiance at home, when you have a house and a dog to manage, you know what I mean? Like that, you can't just abandon life for 30 days without it having some sort of repercussions. And I did. I abandoned life for 30 days. She was incredibly understanding, but it's the last time it's going to happen. I can't personally, I'm never going to do more than a week again. I think in my mind, WrestleMania week sounds like a great idea for a live stream to be live for the entirety of the week. But once you go beyond there, once you get into those 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks of being live straight, eh, the people in your life are being affected by it. And so I just
right.
simply can't do that again. Not to her, not to my family, not to my dog. I just can't do it anymore. But it was a fun experience, man. Being live for 30 days, setting up that bed every day, waking up feeling like I got ran over by a truck. It was a hell of an experience, and I'm so glad I did it. But never again.
No, dude, I don't blame you, and, like, you see and it's a different situation for Jake. I believe I could be wrong, does he still live at home with his,
I
parents?
don't know his living situation. I believe
Yeah.
he does, but like, I don't know
He's
his living
not he
situation for
doesn't
sure.
have, he doesn't have as far as I know, I could be completely wrong here. I don't think he has a fiancé and, like, a family to kinda take care of, so he can be streaming
He's got
for
his if he's at home, he's looking after that family, right?
right, right. But he can be away for, you know, that time. He's got his friends that he hangs out with. I don't know how much of his subathon you watched. I remember one night he ended up switching it from his streaming setup to his phone because they went out and had like a party or something. Him
Yeah,
and a
yeah,
bunch of his
like that's
buddies.
that's his that's his commitments in life, right? Like his friends, he's obviously very ingrained with his friend group right there. And so like for example, you can't just ditch your friend group for 30 days, right? Like, you just simply can't. If they've got birthdays going on or whatever, and they've got events that are happening, you can say no, but like it's gonna affect the people around you, right? Like if you're saying I can't do that because I'm streaming, it's one thing if it's like your weekly job. It's another thing if you're like, oh, I hopped live for 30 days straight and there is no time to organize this for the next 30 days, right? It's a tough one, but yeah, credit to Jake TV for going through his subathon as well.
He's done what, like 2 or 3 of them now at this
Oh,
point?
yeah, he's done a
This
few.
year? This
Yeah,
year?
he loves it.
Um, well, he loves it, and then there's also so much content you can make when you're doing a subathon. But like you said, it's and shout out again to your wonderful fiance because she is an absolute star
Yes.
for like the we you kind of mentioned how content creators and streamers are wrestlers without having to take the bumps. Our families are kind of like these wrestlers' families that
Yep.
they're away from their fiance or their uh, parent for weeks and days at a time. So we're kind of living the wrestling lifestyle without having to wrestle and without maybe having to travel as
I
much.
was gonna say the lack of travel would be the big one, right? Like everybody travels around as a wrestler and you're actually gone from home. I'm just a floor away, right? I'm down here in my basement. Upstairs is where she is, right? Like that's it. It makes it more difficult because it feels like you can see the person at any given point, but you can't really, right? Because you're working, you're at home, you're doing stuff. And so you need to still have that focus that's going on. But I wouldn't like I get what you're saying. Like it does kind of feel like we're ingrained into that wrestling sphere where it's like, hey, 8 p.m. is rolled around. This person's busy, right? And they're busy for the next 2-3 hours. And so in that sense, yes. But yeah, we're lucky that we don't travel a ton because if we did, I'm not sure how well it would go over with the significant others.
Also, dude, I just don't think, and I'm just speaking for myself, I don't think I could physically travel as much as these wrestlers do
Hmm.
and put up with the stuff they put up with in the airports and the hotels of fans just berating them. Like, that's one thing I'll never understand. If you're a fan, great, be a fan. But to sit there and kind of push towards a wrestler to force them to stop what they're doing
Yeah.
just to get a picture that you're going to go sell,
Yep.
like, I
Don't
don't
be weird
agree
about
with
pro
that.
wrestling. Just don't
Yeah,
be weird.
just, yeah. Um, I gotta ask, I know you're a big DIY fan. I told you we touch on it. Your reaction, because I saw your reaction, but DIY, Bloodline, Jacob killed Johnny Gargano. Let's just call a spade a spade. How you feel about DIY kind of getting screwed out of the tag titles a few weeks after winning them? Like Triple H, what are we doing with that?
Well, I get what Triple H is doing. It's not throw my arms up in the air, WTF. But for me, it's just kind of like, I feel bad for DIY. You know, they scratch and clawed their way all the way to the top of the tag titles. They won it in front of Toronto, a very pro Gargano crowd, to lose it a month later. It sucks for them. You know, like it's one of those things where I get why they did it. Like, everything makes sense why they did it. I don't hate the booking. I just hate it for them. Because you know that they're feeling that. They're like, man, we just got these, and now we got to go all the way back to the back of the line and try to claw our way right back up. And it's the bloodline. It's not like it's a random tag team. It's the bloodline. It's the focus of Friday Night SmackDown. So like the likelihood of getting those titles back from them very, very low. I feel for them. You know, I'm not mad. I'm that would be the last way I would describe it. Definitely not mad, but just feel bad for Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. They worked so hard and they got people behind them again, only to have a month at the top. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and if I remember correctly, you have been there for almost all of Gargano's big moments in his career.
Yep.
You
I
should
have.
have been in Cleveland, Con.
I should
You
have.
were in if you were in Cleveland, he wouldn't have lost. I
Ah,
blame you. It's all
it's
your
on
fault
me.
that
Yep. It's me. It's my fault. Blame Con. The Con curse continues. No,
Gargano got
I've
screwed
been
in
very
Cleveland.
lucky. I've been very lucky. I was there for the 2 out of 3 falls match. Toronto Takeover 1. I was there for Johnny Gargano's return when he showed up in Toronto, and I was there for him winning tag team gold with Tommaso Ciampa on the main roster. I mean, I'm lucky. I'm very, very lucky to see the things that I have seen from Johnny Gargano.
Dude, and I my thing is I just feel so bad for Gargano and Champa because they lost the tag titles in Gargano's hometown. And I know in the past, WWE had a history of booking. If you're in your hometown, you're getting beat. I was really, as much as I like Jacob Fatu and Tomatonga and the new bloodline, I do like them. I don't acknowledge them
Right.
as the bloodline, but I like them. Dude, I was rooting so hard for Johnny and Tommaso. Like, like when Johnny Gargano returned to WWE the first time, and when Triple H was bringing back all those wrestlers that were let go, I was so happy, dude.
Yep.
Just to see him back on TV, to have that moment in Cleveland with his family there, his son, and to see him take the pin. If it had been Ciampa that took it, it's one thing, but to see Johnny be the one taking the pin, oh, dude, it hurt. It
It
hurt my
hurt.
heart.
Yep. Yep. It was tough to watch for sure. Johnny Gargano's great. Love him. Love him. Love him. He'll have lots of great moments in his future, but it was tough to watch for sure.
Now, this Saturday, and I'm not trying to bring down the mood here because I feel like the vibes are good. I feel like we're on a good path here. This Saturday does mark the unfortunate 1 year anniversary of the passing of Wyndham Rotunda, Bray Wyatt.
Wow. Has it been a year? Oh
It
my.
has been a year, yes. Um,
Whew.
Looking now, a year later, at the Wyatt Six and what they're doing right now with Rowan and Loomis and Gacy and Nikki and obviously Bo. What are what is your opinion on how they've been booked and what are you hoping to see from them? Because I'm sure next Monday is going to be emotional for them, you
Yep.
know, and I'm sure obviously Bo wrestling for the first time as Uncle Howdy and it not being with Bray there is going to be hard on him. It's going to be hard on fans. What are you hoping to see? Uh, Maybe not far future, but in the coming future for the Wyatt Six.
Is it okay if I say I don't know what I want to see from them yet? Because
Oh,
I,
absolutely.
I think I think I'm just along for the ride. I'm pulling a Wheezy Blonde right here. I'm just along for the ride with this story. I'm not going to fantasy book anything with them because to me it's about the story that they're telling within the group, right? It's not the story that they're telling from outside. Yeah, sure they're facing the American made, but are like are they facing them or are they just part of the story that they're telling along the way? You know what? I feel like it's that. And whatever the story is, I just want to sit back, relax, and enjoy. Like I haven't guessed once what's going on with the stories. I haven't tried to predict what's happening next with them, at least for the Wyatt Six stuff, because I don't know. I don't even have a clue where they're going with it. Like, if you told me that their debut would have been them basically killing Chad Gable, that wouldn't have been on my bucket list, right? Like the way that they built that up wasn't the way that I saw that happening,
What
and
that
I'm glad I was
debut?
wrong. You know, I like, and that moment when that happened, I'm just like, hands off the wheel, just go ahead, take the car wherever you want because I'm just along for the ride.
Dude, that debut at Corpus Christi, when you see the smoke, and I think it's hitting more emotional for fans because obviously we know it's a tribute to Bray. We know what it's for. But to see Bo being involved in it, which we knew he would be, but to actually see Eric Rowan is back under contract, he's back with the company. He was part of the original Wyatts.
Yep.
He was part of the second iteration of the Wyatt story. Like, and knowing that not only him but Bo as well, they're paying tribute to Luke Harper. Like those things, I think that's why when they're on TV, I get emotional just watching them because like I know it's for Bray. For Bo, that's for Bray. For for Rowan, it's for Bray and for Brody Lee. It's for both of them. It's for his brothers and like Gacy and Loomis and Nikki, yeah, Gacy and Loomis didn't have a connection with Bray on screen, but you can see the emotion in them just being in this spot, being part of something this big and this important. And Nikki kind of did have a connection with Bray on screen when Alexa was transitioning over, she was trying to get Alexa to come back, and Bray was pulling Alexa one way, and so Nikki does have a small connection. And I'm glad they finally figured out what they were going to do with Nikki, because there for a while, her just standing and staring off into space, it became a meme at that point.
Yeah, it was meme worthy, wasn't it? Yeah.
I'm glad that they're doing it the right way. And I'm glad that Rob Fee and Jason Baker, I want to say his name
Yep,
is.
that's the name. You
Yeah,
got it.
Jason Baker. Like those guys that are close to Bray, that know Bray, are the ones that are helping with the storyline. And obviously, Triple H is not going to do anything to hurt Bray Wyatt. That will never happen. But I like the fact that they're doing it as like a tribute. And I kind of, as much as I think it would be cool to see Braun Strowman interact with the group, see Alexa Bliss when she gets back interact with the group, I don't want any new members added, because I think the Lantern is the sixth member,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
the Lantern is Bray, and there should be nobody else added. You want to interact with them, that's fine. Team with them, okay, every once in a while, but like to be a permanent fiction of the group, I don't think we need that, because there's six members, just only five people.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well said, Nick. Well said.
All right, man. Well, we have been live for well over what I thought we would, or we've been recording for well over what I thought we'd be recording for. It's been an hour and 40 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, we got talking wrestling and it's completely lost track of time, man. Which, hey, it happens.
It happens. That's the
Yeah,
sport, man. It's what we love.
right, dude. I am so honored and so happy that you made time in your schedule to sit down and do this. I appreciate all the advice, everything you've given to me, all the help. Uh, plugging my channel on your channel anytime you get, I appreciate it. Um, I'll be in touch with you soon enough around the start of football season about something I said in your live chat about moderating.
Yep.
Around the start of football season, I'll be in touch with you about that. Um, but dude, I appreciate you doing this, setting the time across. Because I know you're doing the daily uploads. You've got live
Yeah.
streaming. You've got so much stuff going on, man.
It's
So
crazy, dude. My schedule right now is packed to the brim, but I'm glad we were able to get together here for this. It's been a long time coming, and thank you for your patience while I was trying to figure out how to get on here, man. I do
no
appreciate it.
problem, man.
Yeah.
You're doing me a favor, so no problem at all. Is there anything you'd like to say before we get off here? Just something, maybe plug your channels.
Well, I'll say one thing here. Don't be weird about pro wrestling. Just enjoy it. That's it. Just enjoy pro wrestling. If you want to follow me on anything, you can find me on all social media at CONMAN167. It's pretty simple. The three letters. Nope, that's not it. The three numbers you heard at the end are just 167. Conman. Pretty simple. Go find me anywhere.
All right, guys, and if you look down at the bottom of the screen, you'll see the ticker going across. I do have his social media
Hey.
handles for all social media, and I believe his Instagram as well is correct on the screen. It's at CONMAN167X on Instagram.
Yes, Conman167X. I've got a few like TikToks like Conman167 Real, but like if you just search Conman167, it'll all pop up.
You'll find him. He is one of the most popular content creators and streamers in the game. He's absolutely killing it. Are you going to be live tonight for NXT?
Yes, I will. Yep, live tonight for NXT. Yeah,
I
got a
will
lot of
be.
great content coming up this week. It's going to be a fun, busy week. I'm excited for it.
I will be watching the NXT live stream. Uh, Guys, again, make sure to go follow Conman on all of his social media. Make sure to subscribe to his YouTube channel. This guy is absolutely killing it. And I think, you know what? We didn't touch on it, but I got to ask your opinion on it. The Browns. Because I know you're a Browns fan, brother.
Yeah.
I got to bring something up, man. The Browns, man. How you
What
feel
about
about them?
them? What
How you
about them?
feel?
What are you
How,
asking? What are you trying to get out of me here?
how you feel about them this year? What do you think the chances are of actually
I
competing in the playoffs?
I think we're a playoff team. I think we're a playoff team. It all comes down to Watson, what he can do, if he can connect. But if he can, I think we're a playoff team. Like Joe Flacco got us there last year. hey, Watson has been a top 5 quarterback in the past. Maybe not anymore, but if he can produce top 10 numbers, we're in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're about to have Nick Chubb back. I mean,
Yep.
the defense is absolutely scary. And you've got a good backup if Watson can't go or something happens.
We've got a
Jameis
strong enough
Winston,
team. Our D line is pretty good. Our O line's all right. Like I think we've got a decent chance this year of making the playoffs. If Joe Flacco can get us there, then all it takes is Watson to return to form, and we're golden, man. Like nobody's getting through Chubb.
well, we knock on wood to hope there's no injuries, obviously, to all of those players on every team.
Yep.
Injury-free season. I think we
Injury
have an
free season. Let's
injury-free
go.
season.
Unless you're a Vikings fan. Oh boy.
Now, I'm sure Mr. Tesh might end up watching some of this. Maybe if you tell him about it. So I got to know your Maple Leafs. How you doing with it, buddy? Howard?
I mean, I get made fun of being for a Leaf fan for like every single time that I speak about them. But no, I love the Leafs. Austin Matthews, the new captain this year. I'm excited to see what the season's going to be like. We're a playoff team for sure. It's just a matter of can we win in the playoffs? I don't know.
Well, hey, you got me into watching hockey, and I'll be honest, I had the Maple because I'm friends with you, and I know how big of a fan you are of the Maple Leafs. I did a pick'em thing on the ESPN app, and I actually probably just my bias had the Maple Leafs winning the Stanley Cup. So when they got eliminated, it was pretty heartbreaking to me too. But
Ruined your old bracket.
hey, man, I'm trying to, but I got to support my friends, and you're a Maple Leafs fan. So, but again, guys, make sure to follow Comment on all of his social media. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel. We're at 524 subscribers. We're really trying to hit that 1,000 mark. And, Colin, anything else you want to say before we log off here?
Subscribe to Nick Beasley here on YouTube. Do it.
You heard the man. He is an absolute legend, the greatest of all time when it comes to streaming, one of the best in the game. 14 years on YouTube, and I don't see him slowing down anytime soon. Um, buddy, again, I appreciate you being on here. I appreciate you making the time because I know how busy your schedule is, because I know how busy my schedule is, and
Yeah.
I'm not even close to touching the numbers you touch. Um, so again, I appreciate it. How's Tucker?
Tucker's great, dude. Tucker's great. He's just a little ball of energy. He was sick last week for a little bit, like he threw up a couple times, but he's doing fine now. Yeah, good little boy.
All right, man. Make sure to give that poor little puppy a hug
Will do,
for
Nick.
me.
Thanks again for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. All right, guys. Make sure to follow Conman on all of his social media. The guy is absolutely killing it. And make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel. I will have more football content coming out as the season is very close, and I am very, very excited. But as always, this is still a wrestling channel. Peace out, guys.